The proof? Yeah, there's probably multiple 6s.
He said on the front.
Oh, he did? Okay. Thank you, Olivia. Okay, angle 1 and angle 2 are corresponding. Which tells us what right away? Like, what is true about corresponding angles, I mean? Well, they're congruent. We know that, yeah. Okay, it says determine the value of x for which line the lines that make angle 1 and 2 are parallel. Which means all we need to do is set measure of angle 1 equal to measure of angle 2. Because if that's true, the lines have to be parallel because we're forcing them to be congruent. So we just do 20 minus 8x, 30 minus 16x, set those equal. And let's get our x's together. And let's get our constants together. And we'll get x is 10/8, which is 5/4. Is that good? Did that help? Any others? Is your hand up? No? Okay. Did anybody try this quadratic on number 5? Oh, well, I didn't know you were still looking at that. I mean, you're just checking. I don't think you should just write it down. I will post the key at probably at lunch. Guys, let me remind you on the quadratic, just so you have a visual on it. What kind of angles are the two that are called out here, those two? What kind of angles are those? Those are corresponding. So what's true about corresponding angles? Yep. So 12x squared equals 11x plus 15. Now, remember that with the quadratic, we need to set it equal to 0. So don't just start doing the star method until you do this part. So subtract the right side so it's equal to 0. And remember that there are no like terms in this case. So we can't combine anything. We just move it, essentially. Okay, so we have it set equal to 0. And then to do the star, which is a really good method, remember that what's out front of x squared is a, what's out front of x is b, and then the constant term is c. And our star sets up like this, where on the top we write a times c, on the bottom we write b, and on the sides the a value. So what is a times c in this case? Oh, and first, check for a GCF. I didn't say that because there's not one, but if you could divide all the numbers by something, then you would want to do that first. Anyway, a times c is negative 180 in this one. So 12 times negative 15, negative 180. And then b is 11, well, negative 11, and a is 12, which is kind of weird. So now we look for numbers that multiply. I'll write it off here to the side. So numbers that multiply to negative 180, but also, and add to negative 11. Anything that does that comes to mind? Perfect. So negative 20 and positive 9. Those two multiply didn't make negative 180, but add up to negative 11. Awesome. Okay, next step, we need to reduce. So these kind of make little fractions on the side. We need to reduce those if you can. In this case, both of them actually do. What goes into both 12 and negative 20? Yeah, 4. Yep, it becomes 3 and negative 5 if we divide both by 4. And so I always circle once the factors are ready to go. I just circle them. Okay, over here, what goes into both 12 and 9?
4 and 3.
It has to be the same, so you get 4 and 3, but we divide both by 3. Okay. Then, just to remind you, the top number goes with x, and the bottom number you just write with its sign. So in this first one, it would be 3x and then minus 5. On the other side, it would be 4x plus 3, and this is still equal to 0. And then at this point, we're pretty much done. We just did the hardest part. Figuring out 20 and the negative 20 and the positive 9 is the hardest part. From here, it's pretty much the same process. You split these and set each one of them equal to 0. And then we have these little mini equations to solve. So we just do the steps like normal. So add 5 on this left one and divide by 3. So one of our answers is 5/3. Over here we subtract 3 and divide by 4. And that's another possible answer. Now, in this problem, we do have to go back and see if both of them work. And it looks like they both do. Because if we plug in the negative to 11x, that's not going to be enough to make the 15 become negative. So we're safe. So both of them work. Just wanted to remind you of that. I told you that there would be a bonus question with a quadratic, some kind of version in there. So any others that you'd like me to do? Go ahead.
Can you give a distance and midpoint?
Yes.
Just wanna double check.
This review one?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so distance. Start by writing your equation, your little formula. So difference in y and difference in x is squared plus difference in y squared. This time it gives you the coordinates, but just make sure that if it doesn't, that you count and figure out the coordinate pairs correctly. So we have our x's, x, and remember it's always x, y, x, y. I think it's helpful sometimes to go label the points that way. So our x's would be 13 minus 3 squared. And our y's would be 11 minus negative 4 squared. What happens when we subtract a negative like that? It adds, yeah. So this will become 10, still in parentheses. And then when you put it in your calculator, make sure you use parentheses too. So 10 squared plus 15 squared. And then those become 100 plus 225, which is square root of 325. So how'd that go? Got it? Nice. Okay, and then midpoint. Couple things. If you're given a graph, remember you can just count. Like we know from 3 over to 13 is 16 total. So we could just count 8 over. And then from negative 4 to 11 is 15 total up. And we could just go 7.5. So you can use the graph if you want. If you want to use the formula, it's going to look like this. Sorry. Remember, we're just adding the 2x coordinates. We could do 1 plus 2. It doesn't matter what order you call this. Add the 2x's and same with the y's. By the way, the subscripts, those little 1s and 2s, could just as easily be like A and B. A and B. It just is talking about the fact that we have 2 different x's and 2 different y's. That's all it means. Okay, so the x for the A coordinate is 3 and the y and the B coordinate is 13. So that's 16 over 2, which is 8. And then down here, the y coordinates are negative 4 plus 11. which is 7. 7 halves is okay. If you can leave it like that. If you want, you can say 3.5, but you don't need to do that. All right, how'd you do on that one? On the midpoint. That helped? Okay, any others? Okay. So I have this key will be posted probably at lunch, but for sure by the time I leave today. Guys, it's really important that you go check your answers tonight and make sure that what you're thinking you're doing right is actually right so that you're ready. Actually, maybe do it tomorrow so that you have that little review before Friday's test. Friday, we'll do the test right away.